If you're relocating to Frisco and have a budget between about $800,000 to about $1.1 million, there's one neighborhood that almost no one talks about enough, and that could really be a big mistake. Now, that neighborhood is Collinsbrook Farm. It sits in a really unique location, which is why I'm surprised it's not talked about a lot, is it's by a lot of some of the Frisco's biggest developments. You're not far from the PGA District, the Fields of Frisco, Universal Kids Resort, and one of the strongest long-term growth corridors in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. But here's the question. What happens when you combine a brand new luxury community with some of the fastest growing entertainment and employment centers in Texas? That's exactly what we're covering today. And stick around because later in this video, I'm going to show you the one thing most relocation buyers miss when they're looking in Collinsbrook Farm that can dramatically impact your daily commute. By the end of the video, you're going to know who this neighborhood is absolutely perfect for, of course, who the neighborhood is not perfect for, what your traffic looks like, the school district, what life looks like, and if the price tag is actually worth it. So let's jump right in. Now, before we talk about the location of this neighborhood, you need to understand why this community exists in the first place. Now, Collinsbrook Farm is a newer luxury community in kind of the northeast section of Frisco, Texas. And most of the homes in there are being built by First Texas Homes, which I've sold a couple of their homes, always had a good experience with them. The pricing tends to fall between about $800,000 to 1.1 or so, depending on your lot premiums, upgrades, floor plans, whatever it may be, and the square footage goes all the way up to around the mid 4,000s or so. Again, it varies depending if you add on the 6-bedroom option or not. So that's kind of what the homes look like pricing wise and size. And most buyers here are either relocating families, people moving up locally, or professionals wanting newer, more luxury finishes in a home without paying some of the ultra premium prices you'll find in some of the West Frisco neighborhoods. And one thing buyers really like is the HOA fee, especially for the price point of this neighborhood, is super manageable. It's about $700 to $900 a year. So overall, that's really low if you've done any of your research. A lot of them are $1,200 to $2,400 a year in here. I know what you're thinking. Well, the HOA cost is way lower. Does that mean the amenities don't exist? And we'll answer that here later in this video. But overall, what really makes this super unique is this isn't trying to be a super ultra luxury neighborhood competing with $2 million homes. Instead, it occupies a really interesting middle ground, and that's what makes it attractive to so many families. You get the overall vibe of upscale, but not overly flashy, kind of more of a family atmosphere, and a lot of it's strong owner occupancy, which is a big plus for a lot of people. But before we get into the real reason a lot of relocation buyers are looking closely at Collinsbrook Farm, which is of course the location. If you have any questions for me about this neighborhood or you're planning to make a move, whether that's in the next 9 days or 9 months, reach out to me. My team and I would love to help you make a smooth move, do a deep dive into what neighborhoods may or may not fit you. So all my contact info is below. You can call, text, email, schedule a Zoom, whatever you prefer, and we'd love to help you make a move to Texas. Now, let's get into location because honestly, this may be the biggest selling point of this entire neighborhood. And really in the next few years, this area is going to look completely different than what it does today. Here's why. Collinsbrook Farm sits on the northeast section of Frisco. And if you know anything, that is right near the rapidly expanding growth corridor. From here, you have access to PGA Frisco and PGA headquarters. You're less than 15 minutes to both of those. You have Universal's Kids, of course, all of Frisco's expanding retail. You're going to have Fields West, which is kind of like your legacy West of all your shopping, dining, things of that nature, future commercial growth, and just everything coming here. You know, we're talking big companies relocating their headquarters here like Toyota, but let's start with PGA. Now, whether you like golf or not, this really does impact your decision because the PGA district is not just a golf destination. It's really a huge entertainment and tourism. And many people relocating from out of state don't realize how big of a deal that is. You have a championship golf course, you have luxury hotels like the Omni Resort right across from PGA's headquarters with 2 18-hole golf courses, restaurants, events, corporate gatherings. And as that area matures, Many believe a lot of the property values surrounding that area are also going to increase. Now, the PGA probably isn't even the biggest long-term story and impact of this area. It's really going to be the Fields of Frisco, which, if you're not familiar with it, it's one of the biggest master planned communities besides Legacy Hills and Salina, which is 3,200 acres, but the Fields is a way more robust and luxury and extreme than Legacy Hills. Now it's at 2,500 acres. You're going to have a commercial development. You're right by Universal Kids. It's a lot higher price point. They start anywhere from 800,000 and go well into the multi-millions. You have a lot going on, ton of people moving there just for that neighborhood and the convenience. And this one isn't that far away. Think of it this way. Many buyers focus on where the neighborhood is today and what it looks like, but what you really need to focus on, and what a lot of smart buyers focus on, is what's the area going to look like in the future. And that's not just for your resale value, that's to make sure you're going to like living there 5, 10, 15 years from now. And that's really where Collinsbrook Farms becomes super interesting. Now, let's talk about the attraction that's getting national attention, and that's going to be Universal Kids Resort, which I'm sure you've heard about it. It was in headlines everywhere that they were bringing their first really key kid-focused theme park to North Texas. A lot of people ask me, is this going to be a positive or negative impact for the surrounding area? And it's probably a little bit of both. You're going to have increased economic activity, more entertainment options, a lot more tourism in the area, more retail and restaurants, which could be a huge bonus for you. But you're also going to have a lot more traffic, as of course more people are coming to visit. You're really going to see that and feel that just on your daily commutes. Now, here's the good news. Universal Kids Resort is not in your backyard, so you're close enough to enjoy the benefits of being by it without feeling like you're living at the theme park because it's right in your backyard. Okay, before we get into probably the most important deciding factor for families, which is going to be schools, let's talk about what your daily commute's going to look like. Because no matter the home you're in, if you hate your drive every day, you're not going to want to live there. And here's the reality. Frisco has grown super fast. And with that growth comes congestion. Now, overall, they've done a really good job expanding the roads and infrastructure, but there's only so much you can do at the end of the day. Now, if you're moving from a really congested state or city like California, New York, Seattle, Chicago, one of those, you may actually feel like there's less traffic. But if you're moving from a much smaller city, you're going to feel super overwhelmed and like it's really busy. A lot of the major roads you're going to use is, of course, going to be the Dallas North Tollway for you to get down to Dallas. You're really only going to be 30 minutes on light traffic, 45 minutes on the high end down to Dallas. You also have Preston Road, which runs about parallel to the Dallas North Tollway. You just don't have to pay tolls. Sam Rayburn Tollway to kind of get east to west. You'll use that if you're going to the airport or if you want to go and get to 75, which takes you north or south. And you have Highway 380. Now, Highway 380 has improved greatly the last couple years, but I would still avoid it if you can. They're working on it, but pay the tolls, don't drive on 380 if you can help it. Now, of course, in the morning, you're going to have your traffic to Dallas, and then in the afternoon, you're going to have your traffic coming from Dallas up to Frisco. So, of course, if you work from home, it's not going to be a big deal. Your weekend traffic is, I don't know, I've lived here my whole life, so I'm kind of used to it. It's stop and go throughout the city, but it's usually not terrible, and you'll learn pretty quick when and what times you don't want to be driving where. But let's talk about the schools and school districts. That's probably going to be, if not the most important, one of the most important decisions for a family is which school district do you want to put your kids through. But there's a reason Frisco's in such high demand, and one of the biggest reasons is not only for the convenience factor, but also the education. Frisco, if you go to any school rating website, is consistently one of, if not the top rated school district. When I have families come here asking, hey, what's the best school district? Of course, that's relative depending on your kid, but as far as ratings go, it's really between Frisco and Prosper for the top rated. And if you're relocating here from out of school, you'll really notice that the homes in Frisco and Prosper ISD really carry a premium price tag. And just a home that's right across the street that's in, say McKinney ISD instead of Frisco ISD is usually going to sell for much less, given it's the exact same floor plan. And one of the advantages of being in such a high demand market is whenever we see those market swings of price either up or down, The homes that are in the more sought after school districts tend to be a little bit more steady since there's just given more demand. So let's talk about daily life here, because this is going to be, besides the schools and if you like the home, the most important, what does your everyday conveniences look like? Good news, you're in Frisco, dubbed 15-minute city. You pretty much have everything you need within 15 minutes. So while yes, you may be paying a higher price tag for a similar sized home than if you went to, say, Salina or somewhere further north, you're saving a lot of time throughout the week by not having to drive 20, 30, 40 minutes to a grocery store when you have one right across the road, or you have all your favorite coffee shops right there, fast food places, or sit-down restaurants for date night, taking the kids out for their birthday, ice cream runs, whatever that may be. You have a lot more convenience here, but you do pay for it. And that's one thing a lot of people really underestimate is the convenience. Now, I'm not saying to stretch your budget to where it stresses you out and you don't have any money to go do those conveniences, but that's definitely a factor you need to take into consideration is, am I going to be happy I paid more to drive less? That's pretty much what it comes down to. And you may not. You may say, I'd rather move to Salina and get a way cheaper home and have to drive a little bit more. So that's your decision. And let me know your thoughts. What's your opinions on that? If you have any questions, reach out to me. More than happy to help weigh out some of the options and answer any questions you have. Okay, let's talk about the pros and cons of this neighborhood, because no neighborhood's perfect. You're always going to have something you dislike, but the pros are going to have to outweigh the cons. Of course, the pros, you're going to have brand new construction. You can't beat the location. You have plenty of room for the kids. You have large floor plans, reasonable HOA fees, long-term appeal, that family-oriented environment, and of course, access to everything. Now, here's something to consider. When you come and tour here and you buy, just know the area is still growing. So in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, traffic will continue to increase, and something that catches a ton of buyers off guard is the property taxes here. So before you come and visit here in Texas, we want to make sure you have an understanding of that and walk you through what those look like, because payments on an $800,000 home in another state probably going to look vastly different than in Texas. Now, Texas doesn't have a state income tax, so they kind of have to make it up in property taxes. And just know that you may get a pay bump, but you may shell it out to property taxes. Now, you're also going to have a little bit more premium pricing compared to older neighborhoods, but you're going to get modern layouts, finishes, in a home that is updated. And none of these reasons are deal breakers either on the pros or the cons, but it's stuff you need to know and be able to take into consideration before you can make a confident decision for where you want to plant your roots down here in North Texas. But let's go into who I see this is a great neighborhood for and who should probably look elsewhere. I think this would be a great neighborhood, obviously, if you want to live in Frisco, want newer construction, want more room, and that budget's between the 800 to 1.1, you're going to get more room in Collinsbrook Farm versus Fields of Frisco in that range. Now, of course, you're not going to be in the fields, but you're close enough to still benefit and get the value. And if you have a growing family, right, those homes are plenty of room, most of them around or over 4,000 square feet. And who should skip it altogether? If you want a super short commute to Dallas, I'd skip this one. This one's not in a bad location though for your commute to Dallas. When you come here to visit, I'd encourage you, come during a weekday if you can, and drive that commute. See if you like it. If you hate it, let's move on. Find another neighborhood for you. And also, if you want that older neighborhood feel, bigger, mature trees, you're going to want to look at some of the pre-owned options here in Frisco, just because, right, this neighborhood's brand new. You're going to have, I've got one right out there. You got a tree that's maybe 3 inches in diameter. And if you want top of the line, super built out amenities, this one doesn't have that, right? You're not going to get that for a $700 to $900 a year HOA. Or if you want the ultra luxury estates, this is really a great middle ground for people that want the room but don't care about the flash and they just want a big enough home in a great location, but that's still super nice on the inside. Like I said, I mean, there's not a bad neighborhood here unless it's for the wrong buyer. The right buyer will absolutely love this community. The wrong buyer, you're going to be happier elsewhere. So reach out to me. We will help you find that right fit for you. Here in North Texas, like I said, whether you're 9 days, 90 days, or 9 months out from making a move, reach out to me. Never too early to start planning, and the earlier you plan, usually the less stressful it is for you. So reach out to me, shoot me a text, call me, email, schedule a Zoom. All that's linked in my bio or in the description. Gosh, this is an Instagram. In the description. And I'd be more than happy to help and chat you through pros and cons of certain areas and answer any questions you have about the North Texas real estate market. So be sure to subscribe to post at least 2 to 3 videos a week like this one, or home tours in the area. So don't want to miss those. Super helpful, and I hope to see you in Texas soon.